Wait, hold it up and then drop it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is time for art. We are so happy to have you here. Welcome all you beautiful artists. I'm your host, Hershey Petty. Today, we're going to be, if you look at your calendar, that's what I was going to say. If you look at your calendar, today is Wednesday, May 11th, and we are painting the waffle cones, the same thing that we drew on Monday. If you were able to draw with us on Monday, our draw day. And if you guys have not traced your waffle cones yet, now's a really good time to start doing that while we do announcements and get everything started. You can get that done ahead of time. And then make sure we might be really needing to go back over these little individual waffle squares. So make sure you hinge your reference or your sketch there. Make sure you hinge it really well so you can flip it back over. That's just a little pro tip for you. And as you guys begin to trace, keep in mind that this is all just supposed to be a ton of fun. You don't have to keep up. You don't have to keep, if it's really fun for you, like it is for me to try my best to keep up, then you can do that. If it's more fun for you to go at your own pace, you can do that too. You do whatever you want. This program is designed for you guys to enjoy yourself and go at your own pace. If you don't keep up with us in the live streams, you can always go back to our Facebook or our YouTube and find these videos immediately after they're done being streamed out to you guys. So please don't feel the need to, you're never behind, you're never not going fast enough. Do it at your own pace and enjoy yourself above and beyond, like above all else. Make sure you're doing that. And these live streams, they're for everyone. Whether you are a subscriber to Time for Art or not, these live streams are meant for everyone to have a good time with it. And you know what, if you enjoy yourself and you love the art that you're making, then go ahead and subscribe for Time for Art. And we'll send you every single month all the supplies that you need to make 3 masterpieces every single month. And we send you the brushes, we send you the paint, we send you the canvas, we send you these incredible vellum transfers so that you can get started with and trace some really cool stuff. And we've got amazing themes. And this month, as you guys know, it's confections. So we've got our ice cream tonight. So that's if you want to subscribe, great. If not, we'll see you on these live streams that are every Mondays and Wednesdays. I want to do a special shout out to Ruth and Caroline and Cheryl. If you guys are with us tonight, I want to say thank you for posting in the subscriber group. Ruth and Caroline, you guys posted some incredible Sundays. Ruth, that extra chocolate dripping off the side was magnificent. And Cheryl, your sketch drawing of the cones was really, really great. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And anybody else out there, if you have anything you'd like to post to the group, it's not too late. If you've got something from last month that you think is really cool and you want to post to the group, post it now. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it when we paint it or draw it. You can do it now. So we just want to see your guys' art. We want to see what you're proud of. So don't forget about that subscriber group. And without further ado, let's say hi to our resident artist and art aficionado, Allison Crary. Hi, Al.
Hi, Hershey. Thank you for such a fabulous introduction.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm super excited to paint today. And I hinged my first corner, but I'm going to go ahead and show everyone, if it's their first time, how to hinge your second corner. So we send these labels. You don't need to use the whole thing, but we send these labels in the kits. And what you do is you can use this or you can use tape you might have. But the reason we provide the labels is for just this. And you take your paper and you hinge it with the label to the back of your canvas panel. And then this is your drawing surface. And so we're going to tuck in if you haven't already, graphite paper, sticky, shiny, waxy side down. Tuck that right underneath and start transferring with your pencil or a pen, just something where you can see your lines on these gray marks. And like Hershey said, you may want to go back in and transfer the waffle squares because we're going to paint over them. So be sure to keep your outline hinged to your canvas panel. And I'm just hitting the lines I see. Like Hershey said, we're going to paint over all these lines. So you want to be accurate, but you don't need to be super accurate. We're just kind of going for placement, where the stuff is going. You've also drawn this once before if you were with us on Monday. So we kind of know how this goes. And who have we got tonight, Hershey? Who's joining us?
So far, I just logged in myself. Let's see here. I know that we have Ruth and Cheryl and Melinda. So hi guys, thank you so much. Who else is out there? Say hello.
Yes.
I just said hello, which always reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire.
I love Mrs. Doubtfire.
And
so,
Allison, real quick, while people are finishing doing their tracing with the graphite paper, I want to remind everybody about the template challenge that's happening this month.
Yes.
And go ahead and tell them the theme.
Caught with your hands in the cookie jar. And that's intended to be figurative.
Right.
Hershey and I went through this. So we had different ideas for what would work. And what were some of them, Hershey?
We had maybe a little kid dressed up as a burglar with his hand in the cookie jar. There was another one where someone had a tray of cookies that had just come. They were taking them out of the oven, and you could see that 3 were intentionally missing. So like that somebody had gone in and taken some before they were able to get them out of the oven.
Kind of like how my dad would go pick up the pizza and then they gypped us a few slices. I was like, we got a call. That's not cool. So similar.
Yep, very similar to that. That would be a really great one. And if you are new this month, the template challenge is to take one of the vellum templates that comes with your kit and with anyone you want. And usually the template challenge is just to paint and draw one. But this month it's paint and draw one, whichever one you like. And the theme is, so you can do whatever you want, is caught with your hand in the cookie jar. It could be literal. You could just do hands and cookies. You could do
just cookies.
Yeah, you do whatever you want. So we're excited to see what you guys do with it. And every month, as always, these are due the last Friday before of the last full week, which this month is going to be the 20th. So it's just over a week and a half away.
Very cool. And we give Starbucks gift cards.
Yes, and you get to win.
When you win, you get Starbucks. I'm not sure Michelle's gotten hers yet, but it's coming. I promise. All right, so I'm just going to kind of check on this. I haven't done any of the internal squares yet. I'm not sure I'm going to just yet. I might. No, I think I'm going to hit them. Let's see if they make it through the paint. And again, we're going for spatial accuracy. We're not going for really specific. Just tracing squares over.
It's going to be easier, I think, because, on Monday when we drew these, they were smaller version. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be easier to stick to the true amount of waffle squares.
Per.
Yeah.
Type.
Yep.
Because we were having a hard time with that before.
I was, for sure. I took a little creative liberty, if you will, with how many.
With how many, and that's, that's how it's done though.
Yeah.
So I grew up hearing lore from Julie Crary. I don't know if she's on.
She said hello from Crown Point. Hi, Julie.
Excellent. About the origin of the waffle cone. And she can correct me on the lore if it's true. An unnamed year's World's Fair. So we're off to we don't know which year. And whoever was scooping ice cream ran out of dishes and made some kind of creative arrangement with whoever was doing the waffle iron at the time. And that was the first waffle cone.
I have to say, growing up in California, more than 1,000 miles from you. I heard the exact same story.
What?
Yes. Yes.
So if someone could fact check that for us, there's probably a lot of
I'm going to say real quick before anybody fact checks anything, if it came from Julie Carreri's mouth, it's true.
Yeah, and so but yeah, and that was the beginning of the Waffle Cone, and they started serving ice cream and conical waffles, and everybody liked it, and it stuck around.
The waffle maker saved the day.
Waffle maker saved the day, and a little
reinvented the ice cream maker's business.
Yes, and maybe collectively they sold more together.
Yeah, maybe, you know,
people were interested in ice cream waffles than in ice cream or waffles uniquely.
I think there's a lot of really cool lore and really cool, I mean, factual stories that come from those that World's Fair. Like,
oh, you think it's the Chicago World's Fair that we're talking about?
Personally, I do. Yeah.
Okay, that's where you're putting it. It could be
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure. Again, not sure we had a year or a location for said World's Fair.
Chicago for sure.
But yeah. We
Julie's saying it might be the 1904 World's Fair.
Okay.
Oh, it was the St. Louis World's Fair.
Okay, all right. Midwestern.
Thank you, Jules.
All right. Do we have a year?
1904, I believe.
1904.
Oh, wait, hold on. We'll see. Let's see. She's looking it up right now.
Yeah.
We should be tracing her. Let's see. Yeah.
Do you know how far the waffle guy was from the ice cream guy and how the friendship was like forged?
I mean, they probably were. I was going to say they were sharing a electrical outlet, but I don't know if that's even the case.
Or not. Hershey's done art fairs with me. I mean, this could have like.
Yep. Oh, we got a link and everything in the comments. This is the kind of stuff I like to see in our comments. I love it. Cheryl posted a link, and Julie said that it was the St. Louis World's Fair, which was also known as the Louisiana Purchase Exposition.
Naturally, that's why they put it in St. Louis. They're so close.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Yeah, right.
All right. I'm sure there was good reason.
Thank you guys for all that in the comments.
Yes. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out our palettes, and we are going to, that was awesome. It was so great.
Yeah, it was.
And we're going to take out our yellow ochre, and we're going to do a pea-sized, it's more of a pea and a half drop of yellow ochre, and a touch, a smidge, a speck of burnt umber.
Okay.
And we're going to mix these together. And I think I'm going to use my smallest brush actually right now. And in the middle, like we do often here at Time for Art, we're going to put a generous dollop of white paint. And we're going to take a, I don't know, maybe a pea or a pea and a half. We measure things in frozen peas here.
Yeah, amen.
And mix that into this one. And we're getting this kind of creamy, like peanut butter frosting color, maybe.
I'm definitely getting peanut butter vibes.
I mean, I love peanut butter, so that might have something to do with it.
Oh, you know what? Ruth just chimed in real quick. I just want to tell you this because I think you'll love it. Yes. She chimed in with the song lyric. I don't know where it's from. It says, "Meet me in St. Louis. Meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair."
Is about the St. Louis Fair where the waffle cone came to be, guys. Yep. We're so wow. All right.
Thank you guys. Okay.
That was amazing. All right. And then we're going to take a dollop of this and put it in another well and add some more white to that.
Okay.
I want it to be kind of significantly lighter. So. And so Hershey and I were talking about this ahead of time. We like to work background to foreground here at Time for Art. except for the exceptions. And this is said exception. Because we're blending and blending can get kind of messy, we're going to blend our cones and then we're going to clean them up with the background color. So we're going to start with this lighter one and just add a little bit of water. We're going to break it up a little bit. And if we look at our reference, it is lightest on the left sides and darkest on the right sides. And so we're going to put our light color right over our squares. Yeah, and it's looking like you can see through them. In the event that you can't see through them, we'll go back in later. But
we're doing the whole cone then in that really light one.
We're doing like sort of working from the left side.
Okay.
We're getting in this part of the cone and we're not being too worried about staying in the lines because we're going to clean them up later. I'm never all that worried about staying in the lines.
Right.
Always clean it up, go back in. Maybe your lines look a little different, but we're going to start with that on this side.
And does that go through? Yeah, that covers most of it. Yeah.
Covers most of it and keep it nice and wet. So I'm just going to go in and make it nice and wet now.
Okay.
For transition's sake. And then we're going to go into our original peanut butter color. And we're going to massage that into the right sides of our cones. So this is going to come in like this. This is going to come in right like this. Right here. Here. And we're just going to kind of leave that alone for a minute. Mine's really wet.
And the purpose of making it wet is so that the transition to the darker is even.
Exactly. Exactly. You have plenty of room. You're not fighting it drying.
Right.
Ruth can tell you.
Right.
Struggle is real. Just like that. And then we're gonna kind of let that be for a minute.
Okie dokie.
The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wash in some colors in our ice cream. And so we're gonna start with our chocolate, which is with our burnt umber. So we're gonna take kind of a pea-sized drop of that. And we're just gonna add a little bit because it's this kind of like cocoa sort of fudgesicle color.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna mix that up with a little bit of white. And as soon as I say this is chocolate, I want this to be chocolate. Isn't that awful?
Yes.
I'm looking at this like, oh, I believe it now. And this is just going to kind of go over the whole thing, but make sure you can still see your lines through it. And in the event that and that's the wash. So wash always means a lot of water. So drop in your water here. But we just kind of want to cover the holes.
And is that, you said that's a, that burnt umber, remind me that color again?
Burnt umber and white.
And white.
We're going to let that one go. Our strawberry ice cream, very simply, is your scarlet. Drop that. And a whole lot of white.
It does look like chocolate.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, when I see strawberry, I want this to be strawberry. I don't know. There's something about it. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to kind of wash in. Then covering the holes. Don't worry about overlapping the edge. We're going to go back in with the background in a minute. But because we're actually sort of starting this way, we're going to just make sure our whole canvas panel is filled. Because it's the halo that kind of looks like amateur hour sometimes, right? When you have this kind of glow around things.
Yeah.
Get in there the first time. And then our vanilla is just going to be our yellow ochre and white. A lot of white. And this can also be what we put down for our cookies that come out. So I'm making this. So we just kind of want like an off-white. We want it to be even lighter than the cone. Just like that, break it up. Fill it in. And it's kind of our placeholder. And I'm debating if I want this or my cone color for the cookies. I think I actually want my cone color. So you could use this because it'll do this, you know, it'll do the job.
You want your cone color for what now? For the
coming out of the cones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then I'm going to go back in and take this color that I used for the cones. And it's just a little bit different because it's got a little bit of the burn umber in it. We're just going to fill these guys in. And if you remember, we learned to draw this before. So you could have drawn this ahead of time if you wanted to, but we put in the outline because we think those are kind of two different tasks at hand. You don't need to worry about having to draw this to enjoy painting it, but you certainly know how. So, okay, sort of, we're going to let this kind of settle for just a moment. I'm going to get out my Scarlet, and we want enough paint to now fill in the whole background, and not to do it at the wash level. We want it to be really thick and viscous at this point. So I'm going to do like kind of 3 P's of Scarlet. And the secret ingredient here, but not too much, because we don't want orange, is a drop of yellow ochre and some white. Because we want this to be a little bit of a coral color, and we want that coral color to be a different color than our pink ice cream color, our strawberry ice cream. And we're going to add some white, and we're going to mix.
So we've got mostly scarlet.
Mostly scarlet, a touch of yellow ochre.
Okie dokie.
And some white. And that's about right. We just want this to be a little bit more coral than our strawberry ice cream. So those look like very different colors. And I think the example we were talking about, Hershey and I were talking about before we got started, was when we did our sundae, what everybody did a really good job with the intentionality of it.
Yeah.
Our whipped cream is a very different color than our vanilla ice cream. And it looks really nice because we picked up on that. And that's kind of what we're going for here, is just a speck. I'm going to add like a tiny drop more.
Of what? What do you want?
Of the yellow ochre, because I want it to be really nice and coral. But I don't want orange.
Right.
That kind of wrecks it. So there we are. That's exactly what I want, but it's definitely a different color than this. And that's what we were going for here.
Yeah.
And this is when we're going to go ahead and start painting in our edges.
All right.
And so since mine's still a little wet, that's fine. I'm going to kind of not go right for the edges. I'm going to kind of go in the in-between. And I'm actually still using my small brush. And for some reason, that's feeling better than reaching for a bigger one. And I think it's just because we have these kind of narrow channels that we're navigating.
You're also really fast with that small brush. I moved on. There's no way I could paint the background with the small brush.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily suggesting you do it. It's just, it is kind of what feels right. And so when I'm going around these more sensitive areas, I'm choosing my small brush. And we say it every week, but we're going to say it again now. It is always easier to pull
A line.
a line
To push a line.
than it is to push a line. I always feel like I'm in one of those like OxyClean infomercials when I push a line, like, and look,
Right.
it's a mess.
You're like, I know better than this.
Yeah, I should have used OxyClean. But joking aside, it is always easier to pull a line than it is to push a line. And the more you do it, the better at it you get.
You know, I think I want to do a small brush when I get to the edges. Now I'm just filling in. Yeah.
And just take your time. We
I
got
love
plenty.
the color.
Isn't that a pretty color?
Yeah.
Would you call it salmon or?
I think it's definitely a coral.
Yeah, it's coral. If you've looked at coral.
And I think I like coral more than I thought.
That's kind of how color goes. The more you learn, the more excited you get about it.
Yeah.
The more you can appreciate the subtlety of it.
Cheryl in the comments would like to know, are you using full strength paint or are you thinning it?
I am using full strength paint.
Right. We were thinning before. Yeah.
Right. We were thinning before and we switched. And the reason is because we want to really hit these edges. An excellent question. And so I'm putting it on pretty strongly, and then I'm going to go back in and kind of even it out. And you can always turn, like I'm going to right now, your canvas to kind of go around some of these edges. And so in a way, we're still working background to foreground because we've washed in all of our color, and now the first really thick layer we're applying, kind of finishing layer, is the background. But you know, sometimes you do things a little differently.
And now we're taking our time with the edges.
We're taking our time with the edges. And if for whatever reason you need to go in and fix something, guess what? Good news, you just let it dry.
Yeah.
And then you go in and change it.
Good news.
Not a big deal. Not a whole lot to worry about here. And in the event that you run out, which I don't think I'm going to, but let's say one may, you can make more.
Yeah, you can.
You made it the first time. Don't get too hung up on that.
Color masters. We could do it all, you know.
Yeah. There's this sometimes like, well, you'll never actually you'll have a lot of opportunity.
And you know, if you guys have been following us for a while, you know that that's my process, is to mess up and then do it again, then mess up and do it again. And the mess ups for me are usually with the color mixing, and you get really cool results.
Yeah.
You get, you know, like run out of paint, make it again. It's gonna be a good thing.
Yeah. And you know, we're certainly learning and we have a plan and we're kind of showing everybody how to do it. But at the same time, the reason you would paint something or draw something or portray something differently than a photograph is so that it looks different, because your stroke is a little bit different than somebody else's. And so
like a fingerprint. Yeah,
exactly. It's yours. And so don't fight that.
I like that.
Yeah, we want these to be different. Now, art's meant different things to different people at different times. And sometimes, you know, certain eras of history, it was accuracy, right? You needed someone to portray what that looked like or you wouldn't have it.
Right.
And we're in the era where you choose to make art, not because you need to, but because you want to. Let's just keep that in mind. Yours gets to look just the way you want it to.
I
And
love it.
yeah, and don't get hung up on the rest of it. Just evening
It's
out.
like Ruth's Sunday where she added that chocolate spilling off the side.
Too cool.
Yep.
And it made it like even tastier looking, kind of, right? It was
Yeah, it did.
all right. So I'm just kind of evening some of this out. I come back in here. Come around this way. Pull some of my lines. The other thing is, I don't worry. Some people get really hung up on you need to use a big brush for big areas. You need to use a small brush for small areas. Never been my thing. Use whatever feels comfortable at the time. Sometimes figuring out with a smaller brush, if that's just kind of feeling right in your hand at the time. And let's see if I can make it with paint I have. I think I can. Getting close.
So am I. I'm getting real close.
Well, and it kind of starts to dry up, you know, as time goes on. So you run it, you have less.
Right. You probably did have enough, but then it dried up.
Then it dried up. And so that's okay though.
What I think is cool about this paint is the acrylics, how, you've mentioned several times how when it dries, it shrinks.
Definitely just the truth. There's just less there than when you started.
It's just the truth.
All right. And I'm just going to kind of move some of this around. Keep it even. And if you look, there is a little bit of texture in our background. And that's coming in with something a little bit lighter. And my suggestion there would be to either lighten what you have or take some of this pink paint we mixed for the initial wash and just kind of stroke this into your background.
It looks like I'm going to be making more paint.
All right.
Remind me one more time, and anybody else, if you need to make more paint, it's mostly the scarlet.
Yep. And a few drops to sort of taste, if you will.
Of the yellow
ochre. Of the yellow ochre.
And then some white.
Yes. And then some white.
All righty.
And you can kind of, I don't want to say you can spoil it, but in one of the times I painted this painting, I put in way too much yellow ochre. And it was just kind of a funny orange that just didn't resonate with the other colors we had.
Okie dokie.
That was my takeaway, was to tell everybody, don't get too orange.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a rusty orange. And it just kind of takes away from the joy of the colors.
Yeah, what we have, this color is really makes the, we were talking about this before we went live, how it makes the ice cream pop.
It really does.
And you're just dusting in a little bit of that pink in the middle?
Just kind of putting it in as we go.
I didn't see that coming, I gotta be honest.
Just like that. Little bit of, and if you look now, we have, for the most part, everything filled in. What we don't have filled in, and I'm going to fix that right now, is the cherry. And I'm going to go straight up scarlet on that. No mixing at all. You just need like a fleck of it. And we're just going to kind of fill this in. With that. I also want to remind everybody, we're at the 7:35 mark, but
yes.
We go a little bit later on paint days, and we understand if you can't make it the whole time. So if you have to hop up at any time, please do. So we just filled that guy in. We got the whole thing filled in, and now I'm just going to kind of look around for some adjustments. So I've got a little bit of my red in my cone, and I'm just going to kind of take a wet brush and kind of even that out. Same thing over here. Just like that, around here. This line back. And this is just little maintenance that we do. Clean things up. Something around here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is back into my cones. If you look at the reference, the squares of the cones are kind of one color, and it's this kind of darker peanut butter color. And so what that's going to be, if you have some of this left over, you can use it, or we can mix it from scratch. It's going to be some of the yellow ochre and some of the burnt umber. Less of that, a fleck of that. Might be too much. And it is. Don't do that.
With a little bit of white.
A little bit of white, but I'm gonna add more yellow ochre to that. I gave it too much burnt umber.
Okay.
Just like this. That's right. With a little bit of white. And we're just going to kind of fill in the squares, and don't be too careful about it. These are just darker recessed. Is that dark enough? They add a little more brown to that. They're just darker recessed parts of your cone. That's color one. You just kind of fill them in. Take your time.
There's a little bit of a glare. I just want to see how dark that dark is that you're using.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, okay, got you. That's perfect.
I'm so glad you said something. I'll hold it up like that. So we're just kind of filling these guys in. Not perfect. Taking our time. And these are just recessed parts. We just want to show that the external waffle part is more in the foreground. And this is set in deeper than that. And it's looking like we got some over here. And that's what your reference is there for. Take a look. It's getting a little, can't tell. So that looks good right there.
How blended was that pink that you put in the background? Can you see it?
Kind of.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah. All right. Like a high. Okay, I get you.
I always like to put lighter over darker with acrylic paint.
Why is that?
It just sets up more nicely. It doesn't look kind of, it looks less patchy to me.
Okay, yeah.
Dark over light, sometimes it just looks watery and unfinished. So just getting our little interior squares, just touching them up. It's kind of 2 strokes for me with the smaller brush. Maybe 2.5 strokes.
per square.
per square. And they're not perfect squares, but we're going to go in with some white after that. And just keep going. If you need to let it dry, let it dry. We're going to get there. Filling these guys in over here. I think this would be a cool painting, like enormous, like over a sofa.
That would be cool. You're right. That would be really neat.
Larger than life.
Yep.
Icons. Maybe in a kid's room or a playroom or someplace you're having fun. Like a kitchen dining area, maybe.
Yep. Like one of those retro kitchens.
Yeah. This would be cool in a kitchen though. If you have open shelves maybe in a kitchen and you just kind of propped this up there as is, this size.
This would be neat. This might go in my kitchen.
Hershey, I can't wait to see it there.
Yeah, I have a fun kitchen that could use something like this.
Yeah. All right, so we've got our cones in. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of put in our ice cream modeling. So we wash it in first, so we already have kind of a base layer. And I'm gonna start with the chocolate cone. And if you look here, it is darkest at the base and kind of in here and goes almost to white. And so this was our first color that we used, which is just the burnt umber and white. And I'm going to paint that back into where we originally washed it in. So I'm just going to use that same color and I'm just going to put it in between the chocolate drips around here.
So it's the same color, just no wash.
Just no wash. We're just using it straight up. Just like that. And then I'm going to add some burnt umber to that. Just a touch. And that's what I'm going to make darker around here at the base. I rinse it off and just kind of work on that transition, massage them into each other.
You know, I don't know about everybody out there at home painting, but adding the darker color into the the recessed parts of the waffle cone are really making my cones pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. And I've got even darker yet that I'm going to do kind of right. That's not right. Right along the edge here.
There's almost always a part in the painting process where you have us do something and I can see my painting just come to life and I get so excited.
And that's right now, Hershey, for you?
Right now.
That makes me so happy. Okay, so we've kind of massaged in some darker colors into the base here. We're going to add a whole lot of white to this. So big dollop of white. And now we're going to work from the top. I'm just going to wash off my brush so it's not over filled, so to speak. And we're going to work from the top and just kind of bring that down. Around here.
So say that again, that last step.
I added a whole bunch of white and I'm starting from the top and massaging that in top down.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna add even more white. There we go.
There you go.
That's the color I wanted. And then we're gonna kind of leave that alone for a minute.
Because it dries darker.
Let it sort of cure. Moving on to our strawberry. This is going to be before we do all the fruit. Darkest on this side, lightest on this side. And so, and we want this again to be a different color than our background tone. So I'm going to drop in some white. I feel like we're running out of wells with this one. We've switched to giving you the ones with a lot of wells, and for this one, it's just not enough. So it's kind of a good base color. I think that'll work for our dark area, actually. So the darker areas are over here. It's really this, when it gets light strawberry, it's almost white. Then we'll add in a lot of white. And the white, especially for ice cream, is what makes it look really creamy. When it kind of cuts to cream.
Yeah, the chocolate, the way the color of the chocolate, like I never would have thought to paint that with that much white in it, but it looks so good. It looks realistic.
And you know that flavor. You know that really
Yeah.
cocoa-y,
Mm-hmm.
fudgesicle. And your strawberry has this kind of crumble on top. We'll get to that later. I haven't forgotten it. I just want you to know. I'm just going to kind of transition some of this. Just like that. And then, last but not least, our vanilla, because we're running out of wells. If you have one, you already have for the vanilla. This one would certainly work. It's going to be our, here it is, yellow ochre and white. And that's going to be this kind of crinkle right here. It's going to go in like that.
So that band across there, that's a very much of more yellow than the rest of it.
More yellow than the rest of it. And the rest of it's that plus white, but considerably lighter.
Yeah.
And that's why it's nice that we went in a little darker before. So it's going to be lighter on top of darker.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mix that up. That's going to come around here just like this.
We're really nailing these ice cream colors, I'm telling you.
Doing great here.
Yeah.
So, painting around here. Just like that. All right, that's looking good. We're always looking for what's most behind in our painting because we don't want a part that's really advanced and really behind. And so in my humble opinion, I think that's our cookies at this point.
Yes, agreed.
And I'd like to bring those more up too. So I still have some of this peanut butter color around and wet. If you need it still, it is the yellow ochre plus the burnt umber. More yellow ochre plus.
And what do we use it for?
I'm going to put it in these stripes. Oh, what do we use it for? The cone.
Yeah, okay, got you. Okay, got you.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to use it in these stripes of the cone, straight up. And again, if you need to make it, again, it's that kind of peanut butter color that is the yellow ochre plus the burnt umber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these two stripes over here. Just like that. The darker version of that has a little bit more burnt umber in it. I have some left. If you need to make it, it's that same color plus more burnt umber. It's going to go in right here. And right here. And right here. Looking good. Okay, now I'm actually going to go back as promised to this area right in here that's this kind of crumble on top of the strawberry. And that's almost this vanilla color, if you look. So I'm just going to start full strength painting that in.
With the
vanilla,
white?
the light
vanilla. Got you.
The light white that is kind of the vanilla color. And I can see it. And again, accuracy is only so important here. Come around this way.
Yeah, mine might be more of a pralines and cream.
Perfect. It's probably what it is. It's some kind of crunchy nut topping kind of thing. So that's going to go in a little bit like this. And it's got, if you look, a little bit of some of these brown tones underneath it. So any of the ones that you have wet and available. I'm just going to kind of give it this edge around here. I'm just going to kind of go back in with this lighter color, reinforce that it's kind of on top. Just like that. That looks good. And we are ready now to do some of our chocolate topping.
Ooh.
This, for the most part, is our burnt umber, wherever you can find a place on your palette. Straight up at this point. So we're just going to fill it in. We're going to fill it in for this drip right here. And it's looking so much like ice cream right now.
Yeah.
Drip right here. Coming down like that. Coming kind of around like this. Drip right here. Over and down this way. Just kind of leave it alone. This drip kind of right around. here. Kind of comes up and around here. It's got these nuts on top. Just like that. I'm just going to kind of even some of it out. And this is kind of, you know, you want it to sort of look like molten chocolate, right? So whatever consistency that feels like with your paint, go with it. Kind of turning into more liquid than I might usually use around there. So that's that one. Over here, it's more contained. It's more like a drumstick.
Okay.
Everybody knows what their drumstick's like.
Yeah, almost like the chocolate's frozen at the top.
Yes. So it's kind of staying more in place, right? So you can do it any way you want, but I'm going to kind of use that as my guide to make these look a little bit different. Come around here. Just like that. I'm going to take a little bit more paint. I want it a little bit more solid. Just like that. Hershey's giggling. Why are you giggling?
I heard a noise over in yours that sounded like you were That's exactly what I feel like doing.
Right? Just like this. Like that. Gonna leave that alone for the time being.
Cheryl thinks that the chocolate on top there is fudge.
Yes. Oh, so it's not, so it's kind of staying put more. That's probably a good observation.
She's not wrong.
Not wrong. And this is more like a syrup.
A Hershey syrup.
A Hershey syrup. I feel like we have underutilized the Hershey references.
We really have.
And it's a shame.
I mean, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's hard to pretend to laugh at those every time, you know? So like, I appreciate it.
I know, but all right. Where you can find room on your palette, grab your scarlet and mix it in with your burnt umber. Just like this.
Scarlet and burnt umber.
Yeah, and you get this kind of brick red. And this is going to be the basis for our cherry. So this kind of dark side of our cherry here. It kind of comes around this way.
What's the mixture there for the scarlet and the brick red or with the umber?
Almost half and half, I'd say.
Okay.
And then this is also going to be the first color that we use to put in these kind of dark parts in our strawberry ice cream, the chunks, the best parts. Are you a strawberry ice cream person, Hershey, or strawberry sorbet, or none of the above?
100%. I'm a strawberry ice cream person.
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and say I am more of a strawberry sorbet person.
You know, I will say, I do think that with the fruit flavored ice creams, the sorbets do it better.
I like the acid. I think I like the intensity.
Yeah.
And I don't want cream with my strawberries. I want the fruit bar taste kind of.
Yeah, but right. It gets too creamy too. Yeah. It gets creamy instead of like tart, like a fruit.
Right. But no disrespect to strawberry ice cream. It's its own thing. Just saying. So I'm just kind of putting in where I know, and we're going to go back in for the really red areas with straight up scarlet. But just kind of dropping these in where we see them. Just like that. I'm going to put in this cherry stem. Sharpen your brush. How do we sharpen our brush? Get it nice and wet. We can squeegee it. Look at my paint hands. Just like that. Then we're going to go and pull a line. Just like that. For our stem. And this might be something you want to dry again and do again. All right. Now we're going to leave our ice cream alone for a little bit and let it dry. And we're going to do what I call a white veiling technique on our cones.
Yes.
And I have plenty of this color left over, so I don't need to mix it again or have room to mix it again. But it's this white plus yellow ochre, and it's mostly white. And we're going to take this and add some water and kind of make a slurry with it. We want to break it up. It's really thick and viscous right now because it's our covering white.
Mm-hmm.
And we want this to be almost a wash layer, but because it's so milky, it's more of our veil medium. And along the edge of this cone, we're going to put some of this white. I'm going to go on sort of this stripe of the waffles, just like that.
And that's just white with a lot of water.
White plus, it's the white with a little bit of the yellow ochre in it, but mostly white with a lot of water. Then I'm coming back in over here. Same thing. If it gets into the squares, that's fine too. This is the lighter side. Some of those recessed areas would catch that light. But just like that. You see how that really makes the cone pop?
Yeah, it does.
Just like that. Same thing over here. This side. Kind of continue that into some of these kind of waffle wall. Some of the light catches on sort of this ripple over here. Not right here. Going along this edge, just like that.
And we're only going to do the sides that have the lighter side where the
Yeah.
Got it.
One catches a little bit on this side because of just the way the fold works. We're going to go back in with darker right next to that. But, and again, we already kind of transitioned before that. So we're just kind of reinforcing what we've already done. Just like that. Same thing over here. Just like this. Just like that. And then
go ahead.
With our, if you have it mixed up already, I'm going to make some more, but with our burnt umber plus a little bit of white. I'm just going to take some. We're gonna take a color that looks about like this,
Okay.
add some water to it. And this is what we're gonna use on our dark sides of our cone.
Okay.
So if
I
you
see
look,
what
you've
you're
got a
doing.
dark line in your reference right here, and kind of around here, underneath the ice cream right there, along this line right here. We're gonna put all of those in right now. So this kind of comes in. Mine's a little too watery. Right here.
You're pulling those lines because it's easier to
Yeah.
pull them.
I am pulling them because it's easier to pull those lines than it is to push them. Right here. Around here. Underneath the ice cream right here. And here. Got some underneath the ice cream around here going on too. Right here. Right here is kind of a little line. Around here. Along this edge. Right here.
Those lines that you're doing, are they getting a little messy into the dark squares?
Well, so then I'm just going to take some water,
Uh-huh.
just blur that along the dark squares,
Okay.
just like that. So not only yes, we're going to turn into that, not away from it.
Got you.
We're going to leave that alone for a minute. Just going to kind of let it do its thing. Next, I'm going to go back in and kind of do the same technique on these cookies. So these cookies have kind of a dark line right here. One here. There's one here. And then kind of a light line respectively right here. Right here. This angle's just kind of catching the light a little bit differently than the cones are.
I'm embarrassed to say I just tried to push a line.
And you know, it had to go.
It didn't go well.
Okay.
It
tried.
was awful. I felt like a fish out of water. Yeah.
Felt violated. I get it. I understand. All right. There's a little bit of reflected light along this edge. Just like that. Same thing here.
And okay, let me see. Okay, got you. Okay.
Just looking a little, should I hold this up for everybody? Can you see it? Are we having some glare problems?
No, I'm a little bit behind, which is kind of where I like to be.
Okay.
And I was wondering, like, anyways, we're doing the crisscross. It's not just the lines going down, which where you started. You're doing you highlighted the lines going across.
Sure. I'm going to go back into the cones in a minute, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just going to kind of clean up some of these lines.
Okay, got you.
And I'm also going to go back in and touch up some parts of the kind of chocolate and strawberry parts. So we went in with the dark areas in the strawberry before. I'm going to reach for our scarlet again. And there's kind of two colors going on in the reference. There's the dark parts of the strawberry, and then there's some really kind of red parts of the strawberry.
Yeah.
Go in with those next and just kind of paint in some of the red areas. And they look really brilliant when you go in this way. So just like that. Really red, kind of separate from the other parts. And then I'm gonna do that same thing in the cherry itself. Just gonna kind of get this red going. In these parts right here, just like that. And I'm gonna reach for the straight up burnt umber again and just kind of second coat the areas I want especially dark in the fudge and chocolate syrup. So we're calling this chocolate syrup. I want all this kind of under part to be sort of second coated.
Where it hits the cone.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. Right along here. On the kind of underside of this. Just straight up chocolate fudge. Anybody watching Better Call Saul right now?
No, I'm not.
Oh, it's the last season, and they make Jimmy and Kim make ice cream sundaes all the time. Like it's like their like after work treat.
Uh-huh.
This looks so good. Some of this is also kind of in the cherry right here, some straight up. Also not a sponsor, Better Call Saul.
These do look delicious.
They look delicious. Okay, so we've got pretty much most of this in. What still needs to happen are the nuts and maybe just some of the highlighting. What I want to do at this point is I want to decide what parts of my cone I just kind of want to clean up. So I'm going to take just sort of a medium yellow that I keep hiding from myself. Yellow ochre, what did I do with you? You know you're clever when you can not move and still hide something. All right, we'll go with one I have already out. And so it's in here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it. This is pretty much just yellow, ochre, and white. And I'm just going to kind of go and see some areas of my cone that I just want to be a little bit crisper. Kind of in between my squares.
Yeah.
Just kind of go in. Clean
Now, how are
up.
you doing that? Are you just you're just making the inner part, the recess part a little more sharp?
I am just going actually the other way. I'm just going for the crisscrossed areas, the walls.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of filling in some of those parts. Just where I think it needs it. Maybe your painting doesn't need it. And we'll put our nuts in last.
I felt like those nuts that you made on the original painting just looked very realistic.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was the shadowing on one side.
Super easy, I promise. We're just kind of letting everything dry and just touching some things up along the way. All right, there we go. Now we gotta decide where we want to put nuts. Doesn't have to be where I put nuts before. I'm gonna take this kind of same medium brown. I'm just gonna kind of, there's kind of a collection of them right here. Got a few stray nuts around here. Same thing over here. Kind of more clustered here. If you want to wait and let this dry and trace the nuts again, you can.
That might not be a bad idea.
I'm just kind of looking to see where they sort of are. And this is kind of one of those moments when it's like, that's right, I know how to draw, and everybody here does too. They've already drawn this once. So you can paint, you can just paint in your nuts if you want to. Just like that. And we're going to add some white to this. Wash it out so I can get, this is kind of a sharpen your brush moment.
And you started with those nuts, you started with the yellow,
yeah,
yellow.
like a yellow brown. Yep.
Ah.
Any of the ones you have. We have so many.
Okay.
And then so I sharpened my brush. I've got some white paint. I'm keeping it kind of thick, actually. I'm not breaking it down. And I'm just making these kind of simple, short strokes right on the top of the nuts that are giving dimension.
And the simple strokes are of a little bit lighter color right on the top.
Yep, exactly. And they're kind of like, I'm kind of leaving the sharp edges because they're nuts.
Yep, you're right. They're angular.
They're angular, exactly. You could wait and let this dry. You could walk away, do some dishes. I certainly wouldn't do that, would I, Hershey?
No. Neither would I.
I walked away, it wouldn't be to do dishes. All right, so there's some nuts in there. There's some kind of darker nuts, like maybe it's like more of a pecan going on down here. Just gonna kind of put some of this down here. One of the browns we have, any of them will do. Just like that. And then any place you see that, in my instance, this is too light, I've got darker colors, I'm going to go back in and kind of reinforce some of these dark folds. Again, you might not have to, but I'm seeing
one more time. I'll say it one more time.
Sure. So in my cone in the middle, I've got my dark lines that I put in, my dark areas that I washed in, are kind of veiled in, are too light. And so I am going to reinforce these dark areas.
Okay.
But if yours are not and look more like the reference and are doing the job you need them to do.
And were there darker parts on the nuts, or was it all just the white highlights?
So I went with the darkest part was the color I put down first and then put in the lighter highlights.
Cool.
But if you want to go in and put some darker areas because your painting calls for that.
Can I see yours up close, your nuts, when you're finished with what you're doing?
Yeah, let me kind of
want to see the detail of the red, the darkest red of the, like all of your toppings. I want to see how you did them.
how's this? Can you see them?
Yep. Okay, I see. Yep. Okay. So that, all right.
We got some lighting here. Lighting's on the docket for an upgrade. Big time. We're gonna work on that. We're kind of coming with the dark right here and along this edge. And over here. Around here, down around here. Just like that. I think I want to hit the highlights again on my cookies.
Okay.
They didn't dry quite as light as I wanted them to, so I want like a really nice highlight.
Oh, right.
Right here. Yeah, just like that. And just like this. If you want to clean up some of your edges with the background color.
It's like you read my mind.
Make a little more of that. So it's drying now for me and I can kind of see.
Right when you said that I made a mistake that could only be corrected by touching the edges with background.
That is very, very funny. What did I do with my yellow ink? A little of this in there. So if you just kind of want to reinforce some of these areas, certainly allowed. I'm going to kind of clean up this line. Come in like this. Like this. Like that. Same thing over here. Cleaning up my cookies with these. Remember, if you have these, we'd love to see them.
Yeah.
Experience. And I feel like this one had a lot of parts, but I don't think it was too tricky. I know we got a lot of feedback on our Jurassic Park landscape, Jurassic Park without the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That was a tricky one. No, but the jury's out that was a tricky one. Enough people on the comments and to me directly told me that.
Yeah. Well, and that was the fast one too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess we went really fast. Hershey, did you do that one?
You know what? Did not finish that one, and I was traumatized enough to not go back.
So enough said. They're not all gonna be. It's a cool painting if you want to go do it. And all of the ones when if you braved that painting, they all turned out really great.
It really did. They really did. That was a really good painting to highlight what you said earlier about how everyone's stroke is different, so it should look different. Like the palm trees were so fluffy that like unkept that people got to really be creative in there.
Yeah, we got some really nice textures and energies that kind of went with that. So it's a really awesome painting, but we also heard that we went really fast and that it was really hard. And so we're sorry about that.
It was a good time.
It was a good time, always. And you know, that's kind of what art's about, is take some chances.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I'm just kind of messing with my background here. Cleaning up my edges.
Same.
Lighter areas.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Well,
and I think we're getting really close to the end here, guys.
Yeah, it's 8:30 now, and everyone, it's not too late for ice cream. I don't care what time zone you're in.
Yeah, it's too late for ice cream. You deserve it. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. I'm just kind of playing with my background here. I'm gonna go ahead and sign this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Messing with it, you know.
I like it.
We'll get a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to see these. Thank you so much. We're going to draw the macarons on Monday.
Yeah. And then we'll paint it on Wednesday.
We'll paint on Wednesday. So here's mine. I just signed it.
Well, thank you so much, Allison, and everybody out there who painted along with us and made time for art.
We loved it. And we'll see you again Monday.
All right. Good night, guys.
Sure. Bye, guys.